First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. Appreciate you all joining us here. If you are watching us right now, we are live. And we are live here. Just a little bit of sound in the background there if you were listening. And that's what happens here. We're live from the newsroom. This is our digital desk. And we, like I said, appreciate you joining us. So today we are going to be talking about the Oregon Historical Society. Yes, right there in downtown Portland. And of course, documenting all of these amazing things in different parts of the Oregon history. And we've got joining us right now the executive director of the Oregon Historical Society, Carrie Timchuk. Carrie, thank you for being here and joining us here today. A very Oregon historical background that you have going right now, so it matches for everything. And I was hoping, to start off, if you could just tell everybody just a little bit about the society and about what it is that you do.
Sure. The Oregon Historical Society, we've been around since 1898 with the mission of basically preserving, protecting, educating, entertaining folks about all things Oregon history. And we do it here from our headquarters in the park blocks in Portland, but also have a very robust digital presence, social media presence, website containing all sorts of information about Oregon history and all the programs and exhibits that we offer.
And it's a lot of multimedia kind of presentations, the way that you bring this to everybody. And for just context, how long has the Oregon Historical Society been around?
Well, we are celebrating our 125th birthday this year. Happy birthday to us. We were founded in 1898 and have been around ever since.
Which is wild to think, so 125 years around. But even then, founded then, it was a historical society, which seems like it was so long ago, but there was already so much history of Oregon even at that point. So I guess looking at it, kind of documenting the history and at the museum, how far back do you go in covering Oregon history?
Well, we go back to time immemorial. Of course, that's how long Oregon has been inhabited, the Oregon Territory, the Oregon country, by indigenous people. One of the oldest items in our collection is a piece of a Willamette meteorite, the largest meteorite ever to hit North America, which is eons upon eons upon eons old. So we go all the way back there, as I said, to time immemorial, and then we bring history all the way to the present.
And when someone goes into the museum, what are the different kinds of exhibits and things that they can expect?
Well, we have several permanent exhibits that are here all the time, including our showcase exhibit, Experience Oregon, which is a very fairly new exhibit, a couple of years old, which takes the history of Oregon from time immemorial to today, with great interactives, amazing artifacts, just a fascinating exhibit. And we also have an exhibit called Our Unfinished History, which is a temporary exhibit celebrating our 125th birthday this year, detailing, and there's pictures on the screen there, detailing all the work that we've been doing in saving Oregon's history. And a temporary exhibit right now about some wonderful, wonderful drawings of Pacific Northwest birds by one of the earliest artists of Oregon birds, who was a big proponent of saving birds and wildlife in the Audubon Society. We have many more exhibits here, photographs here. Coming this June, or next June of 2024, will be a permanent exhibit on the history of Portland called Rivers, Roses, and Rip City. So much going on here. We have a history hub, which is an exhibit designed for kids and families. So there's so much to see and do here. And plus a world-class research library.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk about the research laboratory as well, because it's interesting to me as far as where you discover all this, because even though a lot of it is documented in other places, you're still finding, new things about Oregon history. And how does that go about? Is that through the research laboratory?
Yeah, through the library and through, we still get donations every day, every week from people who want to donate items to us. And we study those, whether it relates to Oregon, look at the provenance of the item and accept things into our collection. We have a 100,000 square foot warehouse in Gresham where we keep the vast majority of the collection. We keep it in trust for Oregonians, for Oregon people.
I'm picturing this to be like Indiana Jones, with the...
You got it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Putting the Lost Ark in there.
Put on a fedora, grab a bullwhip, and you're Indiana Jones when you go through that warehouse.
What's one of the most surprising things that people have donated?
Oh gosh, I mean, just we've been collecting obviously since 1898, and continue to collect today. Just items from ranging. It's hard to even. Hmm? Oh, yes, we just recently got a great donation. It's the actual letter that Harry Glickman, who of course was one of the founders of the Portland Trailblazers, the letter that he sent to Bill Schonely, offering him the job of announcer of the radio announcer for the Trailblazers, to be the voice of the Trailblazers. Imagine that, the letter that Schonely got.
Yeah.
But if you're wondering, by the way, $25,000 was his salary for the first year. So
I mean, that was in 70 something, right?
1969.
1969.
Years.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
yeah, that is absolutely a part of Oregon history.
That's a piece of Oregon history. Schonely with the most iconic voice, I think, in Oregon history. So just new items coming in every week. So
$25,000. I mean, I imagine that was probably a pretty good salary back then. I would think.
Back then, so exactly. So
yeah.
And the funny thing about the letter was that Glickman spelled Schonely's last name incorrectly. So.
That's fantastic. Well, so looking at it, the education side of things, because I know you do work a lot with schools, with people and kids, and even adults. Can you kind of walk through the educational program side of the Oregon Historical Society?
Well, importantly, we are free to all school tours. No cost. All Oregon school tours coming in to learn about Oregon history. And then we provide curriculum to teachers, classrooms across Oregon. In Oregon, it's fourth grade is the grade where you usually study Oregon history, the Oregon Trail, everything goes along with that. So we provide some curriculum on that. We provide trunks trunks that have items in them that we ship around to classrooms. We provide programs for teachers. Last Friday, for instance, was a teacher in service day. We had a large delegation of teachers in here at OHS learning about all that we have. So we see education as part of our mission of making sure that Oregon school students are learning about history. History is so important, and it's more than just memorizing names and dates and places. Of course, it's stories about life and death and victory and accomplishment and success and failure. And we like to make history exciting here at OHS, and I think school kids are really enjoying their visits here.
Well, one of those things right there just said, describe your Oregon experience, and just talking about the history of Oregon. There are some great things. There's also some of the on the other side. Some really rough things.
Greg, we are the History Museum. We're not the Chamber of Commerce. We're not the Tourism Bureau. Our mission, our job is to tell the history of Oregon, the true history, the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly. And that's what we do through our exhibits, through our programs. We make sure that Oregonians know the true history of our state.
And that is important to just know everything that happened. And looking at it, from a diversity standpoint, do you work with other organizations, and how do you go about making sure that everything curated is really covering all of those?
Oh, sure. We work very closely, most importantly with the 9 federally recognized tribes in Oregon, indigenous people. We work very closely with the tribes, and as we added our new permanent exhibit, and in programs with them, they are real partners with us. We also work with groups such as the Oregon Black Pioneers, whose mission is to tell the history of the Black population in Oregon, and work across cultural diversity divides with so many groups here, and bring them in to making sure that their story is being told correctly.
For talking about the multimedia side of things, which I think you do incorporate, we brought that up here, that you incorporate so many different ways to tell it. How have you seen that change, over the last 10 years or so? Have you found some ways that work really well to engage people with history, or some that don't? Can you just kind of walk us through that process?
Well, not just the last 10 years, Greg, it's been more importantly in the last 3 years since the COVID pandemic. Obviously, during the pandemic, we, like all other public, institutions, had to be closed for a while. People couldn't come to the museum, so then our mission was to take the museum to them and take history to them. Through our digital offerings, through our website, you can access many thousands and thousands of items in our collection on our digital website. We also host something called the Oregon Encyclopedia, which is a fascinating, you can spend a weekend there, Greg, diving from one rabbit hole to another, reading about the people, the places, the things, the events that are part of Oregon history. and just so many other ways that people can go online, look what we've got at the website and engage digitally with history. And that's been so important in the last couple of years, especially. And many of our programs and our lectures, our Marco Hatfield lecture series, is still in person at the Schnitz, but you can also buy a ticket and watch from the comfort of your own home. And that was, again, so important during the pandemic years, and really expanded our reach around the state. I mean, no more did you have to drive to downtown Portland to see a fascinating historian give a lecture. You could watch from the comfort of your own home in Astoria or Baker or Reedsport or Medford or wherever you live. So proving again that we are the Oregon Historical Society.
Which is huge, yeah. I mean, and it's a it's a big state. There's a lot out there. And,
it is a big state.
Yeah, a lot to cover. So you mentioned also that you have these, in addition to the online options, but you have touring. I guess touring exhibits or touring things that go out to different places. Can you just briefly touch on those?
Yes, we have traveling trunks that we ship to schools, but we also have a ever-growing array of exhibits, traveling exhibits that we ship to museums and libraries and civic centers around the state, covering a variety of topics from the life and legacy of Senator Mark Hatfield to the history of Special Olympics Oregon, to the history of the bottle bill, a very unique piece of Oregon legislation, to an exhibit called Oregon is Indian Country, about the history of the indigenous people here. And those exhibits are being shipped to every corner of the state every month.
Well, Kerry, for everybody out there too, I mean, you mentioned the different online aspects. There's the museum down there. What are the different ways, just to remind everybody, how they can engage and learn?
Well, one, come on down to OHS. We are, again, in the park blocks. We're open 7 days a week. 10 to 5, Monday through Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday. And of course, because of a levy passed by Multnomah County voters and renewed twice, we are free admission to all Multnomah County residents. And so that's quite a deal. So come on down or go to www.ohs.org and explore all that we have to offer through our digital offerings.
Well, Kerry, thank you very much for joining me here for Fox 12 Now, just to talk about the society and make sure that everybody is aware that it's out there for them to engage in and learn, and keeping up the documentation of everything that happens here in the state and beyond, however far back from time immemorial to what's happening right now.
You bet. I always like to say one of my favorite quotes is the late historian David McCullough, who once said, "History is who we are and why we are the way we are." So if you want to learn who we are and why we are the way we are, get involved with the Oregon Historical Society. Become a member.
Fantastic. Kerry, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Greg.
Appreciate it. And for everybody who's watching live, I did mention at the beginning of the show that we are live here for Fox 12 Now. Every weekday, 1 p.m. Pacific, we start off, and we're on our social media channels, on our website, and our apps. And you mentioned Bill Shonley there, broadcaster for the Trailblazers, coming at 1:30 p.m. I have, not Bill, but I have the current broadcaster, Lamar Hurd. Lamar is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about a Trailblazers game that is airing today on Fox 12 Plus, preseason game. So you will absolutely want to catch up with that. So Lamar is going to be here in just about, 15 minutes or so. So wherever you're watching, you can come right back to that platform, join us, and drop in your questions on social media as we go through that interview. And thanks everybody for joining. We'll sign off for right now. Reset back in a few. I'm Greg Nebler. This is Fox 12 Now.
Oh.